You know that feeling, right? If you work in any regulated industry, you absolutely know it. It's this constant flood of regulatory updates, a mountain of documents, and that nagging fear that you've missed something crucial. It's just chaotic. It's a massive time sink. Well, today we're going to explore a completely different way of doing things, a system that's designed to bring logic, auditability, and honestly, some sanity back to the world of compliance.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get right into the heart of the problem, what we're calling the regulatory time sink. Then, we'll introduce ARIOS, not just as a tool, but as a whole new category. After that, we'll walk through exactly how it works, how it keeps humans in the driver's seat, and we'll wrap up with what might be the biggest win of all, its incredible approach to being audit-ready.
So let's just set the stage here. We are talking about the daily reality for so many people in compliance, in quality, in legal departments. It is a constant uphill battle against just a tidal wave of information.
I mean, does this sound familiar to you? Your day kicks off with an inbox that is just overflowing with alerts and newsletters and updates from different agencies. And your main tools to figure out what actually matters, spreadsheets, and maybe a dozen other little programs that don't even talk to each other. It's not just clunky, it's a huge source of risk.
Now, this is what really gets to the core of it. This old way, it isn't just messy, it is fundamentally broken. Think about it. The assessments are totally subjective. What one person on your team thinks is high risk, someone else might just glance at and ignore. It absolutely cannot scale as the number of regulations just keeps going up and up. And here's the kicker. When an inspector shows up and asks, "Hey, prove to me how you handled this specific change 6 months ago," this whole manual system just crumbles. There's no evidence trail, nothing.
Okay, so this is where we see a major shift in thinking. AIOS isn't being positioned as just another notification tool or some kind of fancy search engine. No, it's being framed as an entirely new category, an operating system for the actual work of regulatory intelligence. And this right here perfectly illustrates that core idea. Think about it like the operating system on your computer or your phone. It manages all the crazy complexity happening in the background so you can just get work done. ARIOS is aiming to do the exact same thing for compliance. One unified command center to see everything, logical rules that decide what happens next, and, this part is so important, proof of your work is generated automatically. It's not an afterthought you have to scramble for later.
And this is the bedrock principle that everything else is built on. I mean, it's a harsh standard, right? It's taken straight from the world of high-stakes audits, but it's simple. If you can't prove you did something with cold, hard evidence, then as far as an auditor is concerned, you didn't do it. This audit-first mindset is really what makes the whole system so incredibly robust.
It's also really critical to understand the system's boundaries here. ARIOS is designed from the ground up to be a powerful assistant. It does all the heavy lifting, the monitoring, the analyzing, the documenting. But it is not, and it never claims to be, the final authority. The system is built to empower human experts, to give them reliable, evidence-backed information so they can make better, smarter, and faster decisions.
So how does it actually do it? How does it turn that absolute fire hose of regulatory noise into a clear, actionable, and of course, auditable workflow? Let's follow the journey of a single update from total chaos to complete clarity.
Okay, let's trace this flow. It all starts with capture, where it just ingests everything, kind of like your inbox. But then, the real magic starts to happen. It validates everything, puts it into a standard format. Then, step 3, evaluate, is key. It uses predefined governed rules, not someone's opinion, to assess the real impact. From there, it routes the task based on that risk level. It executes the initial work, like drafting documents. And then, crucially, it finalizes every single run by producing an audit-ready evidence pack. It's like a logical production line for compliance.
This idea of deterministic routing is a total game changer. Just look at this table. If an update comes in and gets classified as low risk, boom, it might just get summarized and sent out as a notification. No human touch required. But if it's medium risk, the system automatically does an impact analysis and then pauses, assigning it to a human for their review. High risk, it adds yet another layer of escalation. The point is, the right work goes to the right people every single time based on pure logic, not luck.
Now, of course, whenever we start talking about automation and AI, there's always that one big question. What if the machine gets it wrong? And that is a totally valid concern. This is where the system's built-in safety net, the enforceable human-in-the-loop model, is just paramount.
This right here, this is the golden rule of the safety mechanism.
A human review isn't just a suggestion. It's not something the system can decide to skip because it feels confident. Nope. It is a hard-coded, machine-enforceable rule. If a specific condition is met, the system has to stop and ask a person for help.
And that intervention isn't just a one-size-fits-all thing. There's a really clear gradient of control here. An E1 is just an informational log entry, but an E2 actually pauses the process until a human makes a decision. E3 goes even further, actively blocking any output from being generated. And in E4, well, that's the ultimate safety switch. It just terminates the entire workflow.
So what actually triggers these escalations? Well, here are some perfect real-world examples. If the AI's own confidence score is too low, it escalates. If it finds two different regulations that seem to contradict each other, it escalates. If it comes across a new regulatory agency it's never seen before, it escalates. And of course, a human can always step in and manually force a review. This is how you build tremendous trust in the automation.
So we've seen how the system brings logic out of chaos and how it keeps humans firmly in control. But the ultimate payoff, the thing that saves just an unbelievable amount of time and stress, is the final output. An audit trail that's generated automatically and is designed to be, well, unchallengeable.
The key output here is called the evidence pack, and it is exactly what it sounds like. For every single regulatory update that gets processed, the system bundles up every shred of evidence into a single tamper-proof package. It's the complete, unabridged story of that event, from the very beginning to the very end.
This is what takes the abstract idea of an audit trail and makes it incredibly concrete. An auditor gets the raw data, the step-by-step log, the exact risk calculation, the precise record of any human decision. And that artifact, manifest.json file, it contains cryptographic hashes. That's so crucial. A hash is like a unique digital fingerprint for a file. If even a single comma changes in a source document, the hash changes completely. It is how you prove with mathematical certainty that your evidence is untampered with. It's truly forensic grade.
And look, we're not talking about temporary files here. This system is absolutely built for the long haul. The retention policy for anything that has a compliance impact is a minimum of 10 years, and often it's much longer than that. This is industrial-grade record-keeping designed to meet the strictest requirements out there.
So let's just end with this thought. We all think of audits as these incredibly stressful, chaotic fire drills, right? You're scrambling to find emails and documents and meeting notes from months, maybe even years ago. But what if all of that just went away? What if, when an auditor asks for the evidence, you simply provide the evidence pack? A complete, logical, self-explanatory record. The audit, it might just become the most boring, uneventful day of your entire year. And that is a game-changing proposition.